welcome back to Jacob's Toys. Please do like, share, subscribe and all of those things. All support to the channel is very much appreciated. And in this video, I've got to say a huge thank you to the people over at Fan Home for sending me this very cool parcel. And included inside is, of course, the first two parts of the Optimus Prime Build-A-Figure. Now, for those of you that don't know what Fan Home is a subscription service that allows you to build unique collections and large-scale models. All of the designs are unique to Fan Home, so you won't find them anywhere else, and it allows you to completely immerse yourself in the universes that you love. They work with various different brands. They're officially licensed by brands such as Star Wars, Marvel, Street Fighter, Universal, Fast and Furious, just to name a few. They've done a whole bunch of collection over the time. They've done a Fast and Furious car collection. They've, of course, done the Optimus Prime Build-A-Figure. They've done Iron Man. They've done the Infinity Gauntlet. They've done the Back to the Future DeLorean. They've done Star Trek's Enterprise D. They've also done the Ghostbusters Ecto-1, as well as the Marvel movie collection. They've done Knight Rider's kit. The list does go on and on. Now, we are looking at the Optimus Prime figure. So I have to say, again, a massive thank you to Fan Home for sending this over. There is a whole bunch on offer with this particular subscription service, and in your first package you will receive this overview guide that tells you all about the various different things to know about the model. It boasts metal and ABS parts. It's going to be 2 foot tall when complete, so that's 60 centimeters. It's got light effects, and of course it's got all his weapons as well. Now, another really cool thing is there are a bunch of exclusive gifts that you can get if you subscribe to the service through their website. These are included here in the overview. There's posters, there's a key ring, there's a mug, there's a t-shirt, and if you upgrade to the premium offering, which I think is about £1 more, you can also get this really cool display case, so that you can build that as well at the same time. There's one more thing that you can also get. If you pay with PayPal, there's a exclusive gift, which is this bust, an Optimus Prime bust. It's about 5 inches, so about 12 centimeters tall, so it's much bigger than the head in the model as well, so it is something completely different. It's made of resin, it's hand painted, just very cool. So all you need to do is pay by PayPal, and you also get this bust. Now, I should say you don't get all of those free gifts in that first package. They are shipped out with various different issues over time. But my first package does include the first two parts, which have their own magazines that go with it as well. Now, the magazines are really cool. They tell you all about Transformers, so it's obviously Optimus Prime from the movies. It tells you all about him, there's a little bit about Bumblebee there as well, but it also tells you about the history of Transformers and some of the retro toys. Now, what's really interesting about these particular magazines is at the back of them, they have a build guide for all of the parts that you have included in that issue. So, as I said, this is the first two issues, issue 1 and 2. And issue 1 is at a reduced rate as well. So if you do get on board, you can pick up this first issue at a highly reduced rate, which is very cool. So without further ado, let's get on with the build. Okay, so on with the build. Now, for the sake of the video, I have sped this up a considerable amount just so that we can get through it in a decent amount of time. The overall build time for parts 1 and 2 took me about 35-36 minutes. Now, here we go, part 1. This is, of course, Optimus Prime's head. Now, included is all of the parts that you need. Now, there is a light up function for the eyes, so it includes some electronics. I should say as well, they did send the batteries that was needed as well, so you don't actually have to purchase anything additional. It's all there. Now, it is quite intricate, but it is designed to apply to various different stages of ability. It's, as I said, in the guide there is a step-by-step guide of how you do it and what you need to do. All the screws are labelled in bags that sort of say which numbers they are, so you really can't go wrong, but it is quite fiddly, so it's not for really small children, but it is the kind of thing that you could do with your kids and kind of have a bit of fun building it. Now, I'm just putting together his eyes here. There's the LEDs I've just got to screw on. Comes with its screwdriver as well, so there's a screwdriver included in that first kit, and from what I can tell it fits all of the screws. So yeah, here we go. So this is the head. So as I said, this is all in the first issue, so if you want to just get that first issue and have a look at what it's like, it comes with the light up head and the batteries and all that kind of stuff. So I fully recommend just picking up this first issue and seeing what you think, because I'm pretty sure you'll be sold. Now, looking ahead in the instructions, it doesn't look incredibly hard to do. It looks quite straightforward, and from what I can tell as a quick overview, you don't need any additional tools or glue or anything like that. It's all kind of within the packet, so that's a real plus, because I've done some of these subscription services in the past and you need to get a whole bunch of additional pieces. Now, just want to say quickly, the side parts of the helmet are the side parts of his head are metal, so straight away there's a bit of weight in that head. So I'm really curious as to how much the whole model is going to weigh, because if there's already that much metal used in the head, I would assume there's going to be quite a considerable amount used in the figure as well. Now, don't skip ahead, do follow the instructions, because you do have to put things in at a certain point so that they don't mess up. So for example, what I'm doing here is just making sure the wires are in the right place, and what you saw there at the bottom as well is a ball joint, so there is going to be some articulation in him as well. I can't see anywhere that it states kind of how much articulation there is, but this is a display piece as opposed to an action figure. It's not something that you would necessarily play with, but it's definitely something you can move around and get into various different poses. Now, as I said, these screws are tiny, and the holes that they need to go in are very small as well, so do be careful as you're doing it. From what I can tell, you do get additional screws. They don't only give you what you need, there is 1 or 2 extras in each packet, so that in itself is really good, because if you do drop them and it disappears on the floor or on the carpet or something, it's good to know that you have extras. Now, what's this bit? It's just a bit under the chin. So this bit, for example, there's 2 parts that are the same. One part pushes in and one part uses a screw. So I've just got to work out which bit uses the screw. It says here in the instructions that the one with a smaller hole, so that's obviously this bit. Yeah, so some of the parts push together, as you've seen. I've not put a huge amount of screws in it so far, so they do kind of, there is like a peg and a hole that it goes into and it holds together. And I must admit, it's quite solid. It doesn't feel flimsy, it doesn't feel like it's going to fall apart. Now, I can't see anywhere an overall cost on their website, and they haven't told me the overall cost of the figure, which has caused a little bit of debate online in people saying that, you know what, you could just actually buy one for the sake of, you know, putting it together. But this is aimed at people that enjoy the process. I, for one, quite like putting things together. I quite like the build, so it's fun. I'd much rather do it this way than just sort of go out and buy a figure. And as I said at the beginning, the sculpts and the design are all unique to Fanhome. So even though it's Optimus Prime, and you know he's going to look very similar across brands and across kind of different things, this particular design is unique to Fanhome. Even just here in the head, there is so much detail. There is so many different kind of layers. I think it's going to look absolutely phenomenal when it's put together. Now, they do boast that there are lights on the particular figure, and we have got lights in this first part, so the head does light up. I don't know if there are going to be additional lights, but there is a sort of self-contained circuit board in that head that we've kind of fixed together, and the batteries as well that go in the top. As I said, Fanhome did send the batteries over, which is a really nice touch, because you're then not kind of fishing around for the right batteries or having to go out and buy batteries. Now what you can see there, I'm just putting the side pieces on. Even the push-in bits, the pegs and the holes marry up, so you can't really get it wrong. So it is quite straightforward. It's definitely something you could do as a project with an older child, but he is looking absolutely phenomenal so far. I'm really pleased with so far how he's turning out. I must admit, it's a lot better looking than I thought it was going to be. Sometimes with these subscription services, not necessarily Fanhome, but I've seen previously with other subscription services, you kind of lose a little bit of quality for the sake of the build, and I don't think that's the case here at all. The detail in this headpiece is brilliant, and if the PayPal subscription gift is anything like this head, it's definitely worth paying by PayPal just to pick that up. Like I said at the beginning as well, your subscription gifts don't all come in the first package. They will come in various different packages, and it does state on the website which package or which issue those particular gifts come with. So they kind of drip feed those out over time, which is quite nice because it means you're getting a little extra something every now and again. And there he is with the lights on, looking absolutely incredible. That's really cool. That is really, really cool. It's just, yeah, it's very good. So on to issue 2. Issue 2 is a chest piece from what I can tell. Now it doesn't look like the complete chest, it looks like a partially complete chest, so let's get on and build that and see how far we get with it. Now this looks like a solid kind of back piece, and we've got two parts of the kind of, is it called a cabin, that front part of the truck? I can't remember what the name is. But that's made of metal, so the two red pieces are made of metal again. Now this second issue doesn't look like it has as much, but it definitely looks a lot more fiddly. So again, just be careful where these screws go. And I'm using the screwdriver that I got in part 1. So far so good. I don't need to bring anything additional in. However, looking at the instruction manual, it does suggest that there are certain parts that you can use glue for if you want to. So I will probably grab some glue and use those for it. There's a little hinge here as well, so this bit just clips on, so there is going to be some movement. One of the questions a lot of people asked online is, does it transform? And no, it doesn't transform. It is Optimus Prime in his kind of humanoid form, but it does look like there's going to be a lot of moving parts on it, which is cool. I don't think the logistics of making him transform would have been very achievable, because even now it's so fiddly and there are so many little bits and pieces and screws and, you know, bits that move around, that I think the idea of making it transform, you would lose a lot of that quality and a lot of that detail. And I, for one, would much rather have that quality and detail than have the ability to transform him. If I wanted a transforming figure, then I'd go and get a figure that transformed. This is much more about the journey, about the build, and about the overall kind of finished item. Now these little blue bits here, it says in the instruction manual that you might want to apply a little bit of glue, so I'm just going to see how they fit, and they do come out quite easily, so I'm definitely going to grab some glue. I'm just trying one of the others. Yep, they do come out of all of it, so I'm going to grab some glue and apply a little bit of glue to those. Be careful when you're using glue, because of course you don't want to spill it, you don't want to overuse it. I always use the super glue gel because I find that that's a lot more easy to control. And there we go, just pop those in. Now these are obviously some kind of like headlamp, but they don't light up. There isn't any kind of circuit board attached to this bit, so they are just for display purposes. But what is nice is that the blue is still that same translucent blue that we had in the eye, so it's, you know, it's quite uniformed, and you're going to have that. Now it says just kind of pop these on this bit, but these again are a little bit loose, so I think I'm going to apply a little bit of glue just to make sure that we don't lose them, because, you know, I think if you're building something like this, if you are worried about any pieces falling off, just put a little bit of glue on it just to make sure it stays in place, because as you progress through the subscription service and you start adding pieces to it, it's going to get a lot harder to get back in and work on, you know, issue 2 for example. If you're 10-12 issues down, I would suggest, if you're a little bit concerned, add that little bit of glue just like I did there. Now this particular bit is very fiddly indeed. There's a tiny little piece that I need to attach to another small piece using the smallest screws that we've had so far, and I'm not convinced that the screwdriver that we've got is going to do the job. So maybe go and get yourself a hobby screwdriver, or if you've got one already, of course, use that one, but you can pick them up relatively cheap from like hobby shops and discount stores and stuff. So the screws here are so tiny and the hole is so tiny, but it's important that you don't break this bit. Now when I say about breaking it, there are parts of this that are made out of plastic. This particular piece, for example, is made out of 2 plastic pieces, and I don't want those to snap, so I'm screwing the screws in a little bit and then I'm going to marry them up to the holes, but they really are tiny, so just be careful when you're using this bit. I think I'm definitely going to grab a different screwdriver, because I don't feel confident that this is going to go in properly, and I don't want to cross thread it or not put it in properly or mess anything up. So I have one more try, so I can kind of tighten those up in there, but it is definitely quite fragile. This is definitely the most kind of fragile and intricate bit that we've had so far out of the 2 issues. It's just not working, which is a shame, because I was hoping that I could do this all with the screwdriver included, and I'm sure you probably could if you powered through, but I just don't want to risk breaking it. I think I'm in a bit of a worry in that respect. So I mean, it is tightening up, as you can see, but I think it's definitely worth grabbing a hobby screwdriver. But yeah, I mean, so far so good. This is definitely an exciting build. Here's my hobby screwdriver. Let's just see how much easier that is to tighten those up, and confidently tighten them up as well.
I think this particular screwdriver cost me £1 from like the pound shop. It's not particularly, yeah, they're not particularly hard to get hold of. But yeah, that works really nicely. So that particular part just slots in here, and you can see why we needed to mess around with those tiny little screws, because it creates that kind of transforming look, which is obviously important for Optimus Prime. But yeah, that's a windscreen wiper. Let's just put that in. So I'm doing that off camera. Let me just bring it back in so you can see. But yeah, I'm just going to push that windscreen wiper in there. There we go. And that's the first two parts. That's the first two parts built and completed. Pretty straightforward. Obviously not a complete piece, so this is obviously going to sit here once you've got the inside of it, but you get an idea of how big he's going to be just by looking at those. So yeah, here's the light up eyes in lower light, and he is very cool indeed.
Again, a huge thank you to Fan Home for sending this over. I must admit, this is a very cool figure indeed. Let's just see if I can get him in focus and just light up his eyes. There we go. So I know I've just shown this on the video, but he is very cool. It's a huge head, so the overall figure is going to be really, really big. So I am really impressed so far. It was much easier to put together than I originally thought it was going to be. So yeah, jump over to fanhome.com now and pick up your first part at least, just to see what you think. But yeah, a massive thank you to the people over at Fan Home. I really do appreciate it, and I'm really excited for the continuation of Optimus Prime. So I will put the link to Fan Home's website in the description, but do head over there and take a look at what they have on offer. Thanks very much for watching. Please do like, share, subscribe and all of those things, and I'll see you soon.